We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you another episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody, already in progress.
Second, it was. Oh, I know what it was. I completed the triple this weekend.
We did?
Yeah, it's every so
Oh,
many years
the
I get.
races.
Yeah, I get to complete the triple. I do. I do the Monaco race.
Wait a minute.
That's
So you were in Monaco. You flew over.
yes. Flew over to Monaco early Sunday morning.
Yeah.
No, I did complete the triple from the couch.
Oh,
Although this triple, I had to watch Monaco in the car ride to Raleigh, and then once in Raleigh, I watched the Indy, and then I watched the Charlotte 600.
on the way to Jersey.
No, we stayed in Raleigh one night because that's where his apartment is. He had stuff to pick up there. So yeah, so it was a big year for me. I completed the triple, and
Do people know it is a triple?
uh, the people in my orbit do because I brag about it constantly when
Did
I
you write
get
the
to
time
do it.
down?
Yes,
Okay.
7:55 tonight.
All right. I'm trying a
So
new
we
drink.
got 54 minutes to go.
Cayman Jack margarita.
Is it just a plain margarita?
No, I don't. It says made with lime juice and agave nectar, ready to drink.
Is it? I got alcohol in it?
I don't know. Shit.
I would
Assume it
think
does.
so. It's called a margarita. I don't know about buying canned pre-mixed drinks. Just doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, something about the Surgeon General on here.
Oh, really?
Alcohol 5.8%.
Okay. Well, there you go. So like a beer, a good beer,
Yeah, I
stout
think
beer.
it's like in that. You get that?
I heard that.
I think
I
it's
thought
in
you
the
already had it
silver.
open.
No, I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
Well, you didn't give it up to the microphone. See, maybe you should do that stuff in the distance. It sounded much better. Pouring it in your Schmegmakai glass.
Schmegmakai. Schmegmakai. The
Your margarita's got a head on it. How's that?
that's what she said. Um, hold on. I think
Ah,
it's one of those power seltzers. So Sigma Chi House, see that?
yeah.
Not so much
Closed.
anymore.
Closed
Whoops. We're not supposed to talk about that.
for at least 5 years.
We're definitely not supposed to laugh about it. So that's what it used to
Well,
be. See it, Sigma Chi? Now I don't know what it is now.
yeah, it was all fixed up
I think it's for
just for
the
our anniversary, and then they
yeah.
closed it. So that was
Wait
nice.
a
I
minute.
guess we get to rent it though, right?
I don't know.
I know. I wonder how that works. Anyhow, if anyone wants to know, just look up WESH in Orlando.
What the hell's that?
That's the channel down there. That was
No,
that guy that
don't
couldn't pronounce when he was doing the story from
Sigma
campus.
Sigma Chi.
Yeah, he
I
kept
remember I called you back. I said, "Don't worry, we're okay. We're in the clear." They can't even tell us who they are. What a bunch of douchebags.
Yeah, as a reporter, come on, you got to know you're saying
Yeah,
it wrong.
yeah. I mean, you're an educated person. This is a Greek system. There's no
But even
chai.
so, don't you ask someone how do you pronounce this?
I don't know. Were they poking fun at it? You think
No, not
he
at
was
all.
just an idiot?
Yeah, I just think he rolled up, jumped out, and was reading
Sigma chai.
whatever press release was already put out. They just sent him out there on campus, and they didn't even put him at the house. They put him in front of some other building on
Whatever.
campus. So, um,
Sad day. The stain of dishonor.
yes, luckily this time we had nothing to do with
Yeah, we're free. We're in the clear.
it. That was nice to hear.
We weren't even
So,
drinking at the last gathering.
yeah, you're right. There was no alcohol there.
Well,
Now
at the hotel, but
yeah, I what do
no,
they call it? Pre-gamed. I pre-gamed a little. Not
you
much
pregame.
though. But so
Right.
anyhow,
Yeah.
where were we talking about before you interrupted me?
Well, we covered the cities. You were talking about your triple hat, or what do you call it? The
The
ring dinger.
triple, just the triple, it's called.
Okay, so
Most try, Larson tried the double. He couldn't even complete that. I did the triple.
was there a racer who was trying to do the double?
Yes. Kyle Larson. He crashed out in both races, as a matter of fact.
He ran out of motors and cars.
Yep. He kind of did himself in at Indy, Um, and then at Charlotte, not really sure what happened. The car kind of let loose on him. And first, he was leading the race at the time, but
Was it slick, rainy?
no, there's some bumps in turn four. I'm not aware of. It seems all new, but the announcers are acting like they've been there since
Speed humps?
yeah, since the track's inception. And when you hit them and you're out of the groove just a little bit, it sends your car collywampus. Collywampus?
Just like
How
the
do you say
floor
that?
at Boston Garden, the old floor.
Yeah. How many tiles are there? Or how many screws are there?
I don't know.
That
You
was
know
a
that?
Cheers. Don't you remember that in Cheers?
Oh
They
gosh.
there was a debate about how many. I think it was how many screws hold down the floor.
Well, you know what makes it all uneven? Well, it's not that way anymore. They fixed it. But the old garden, you know why it was so uneven? So those
I'm gonna
park,
let you tell me.
so those parquet panels.
Yeah,
Well, they're squares. They're like I don't
right.
know. They're sitting on ice.
Yes, that's what I thought it
The
was.
rink is underneath it, and
But that's how most stadiums are these
yeah.
days. But
Well, I
I guess
think
they
now
didn't have the
they turn the ice
technology.
off.
Yeah, back. But anyhow, who was the big? Who was the big
Mm-mm.
tall guy, tall white guy on the Celtics in the 80s? McHale or something like that.
Well, Mikhail, he was a forward. Bird was a power forward.
Yeah. So
Mikhail
it
played
was
center a little bit.
okay. So anyhow, he was on Cheers, and Cheers had this debate going on about the how many screws hold down the floor, and they got it. And McHale was in the bar one night, and they asked him, and then he became so obsessed with it that when he was on the floor in the game, he was always counting instead of paying attention to playing the game, he was screwing his game up because they had him counting the screws on the floor or something like that.
So he carried the bit from the show out to the stadium.
Well, yeah, the show went out to the stadium,
Oh,
not
yeah. I
So
got you.
yeah, so it was
Ah,
all Woody's fault for asking or Norm. And speaking of Norm, we talked about Norm last week, didn't we? So
yeah, he's dead. You know.
really, wow,
Yeah, it seems like.
Norm or George Wendt.
Well, I guess when the primary character dies, doesn't the character die? Do Sheila? Do the characters live in perpetuity?
Why don't you ask your?
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot.
We got our research assistant back.
Hey, welcome back, Alexa.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
I am having trouble creating your routine. Try setting it up in the Alexa app to see what's possible.
The hell is she talking about?
I
Alexa,
know it.
volume 10. Alexa, volume 10. She's been off for a while. Okay, so Alexa, when a character is played by an actor and the actor dies, does the character die?
From tvtropes.org. The character died with him. A character is killed off after the actor who played them dies.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
That's one, I guess. Yeah, they do because they don't. But since the show had ended, the character lives on because But they're talking about someone who dies while the show is still being filmed.
In our hearts, I think it's
Yeah.
safe to say.
All right. So
I had a kid that told me today, this was my last class with this particular student. She said that you will be my how'd she say? You'll be my favorite teacher in my soul. And I was like, okay, that's nearly creepy, but
until
whatever.
she meets the next teacher, she says that to every teacher on the way out the
She
door.
gave me Getz candy.
What's that?
Getz caramel with caramel creams.
Oh,
Oh, and I got a so I don't want to totally hog it here, but real quick, I will. She bought
yeah.
me
I'm not stopping you.
she bought me a $4 bag of Getz candy, which was good.
Yeah.
I left it at my desk. Hopefully the custodian doesn't steal it. And then a young man brought me his mother. Well, his whoever it is, his mom or aunt makes soap out of goat's milk. Yeah, so I got a bar of funky looking bar of soap. It's got these little weird shapes on like a loofah, but it's a mold they use, and it's Cuban tobacco.
Is the
Scented.
soap?
Well, it's scented with Cuban.
So you're gonna smell like a cigar when you're, you're done.
I said I don't want any fruity, girly stuff. Make it manly, and so I guess Cuban tobacco is about as manly as it gets.
That's unusual. I guess it could smell okay. Not when it's burning, though. You're talking not the burning
No,
smell,
it's
but
soap.
the.
No, I
But
mean it's
I
got
know, but the scent you're smelling.
it's got a musky kind of perfumey. I smelled it. I'm not a big, that kind of stuff. But
Well, you
anyway,
don't shower very often, so
I rarely shower, and I
right.
don't use soap when I do it. So
All right.
I use the squeegee. But I wanted to kind of recap on some of the best gifts I've ever gotten as a teacher.
All
I don't,
right.
I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I was at the high school, this kid walks in and hands me a $50 gift certificate card to ABC Liquor.
Woo, sweet.
And
How do you know though?
well, I think I must have talked about cigars
Oh,
at some point.
and you get those at the liquor store?
Yeah,
Okay.
there at ABC. But I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the greatest kid ever. You're getting an A. So,
Can I teach you next year?
so
You should have told him you need to bring that gift in at the beginning of the semester, not at the end when it's too late.
well, I ended up calling mom and dad and said, that's just too nice. But anyway, I've gotten a couple Starbucks cards for $25. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, the soap's the first time. Cuban tobacco.
You know, that reminds me, do you remember the old teacher gift joke? So the same kind of thing. Kids were bringing in gifts for the teacher, and she gets their first gift, and she smells it, and it's from Nancy, and she knows Nancy's parents own a bouquet shop, so oh, this must be a nice bouquet, and sure enough, she opens it, and it's a bouquet, and then Johnny comes up and gives her a gift, and she knows that she kind of smells it and has a sweet aroma to it, and she knows Johnny's parents own a chocolate shop, so she assumes she goes, oh, this must be chocolate, opens up the chocolate, and then I'll say David comes up with his gift, and it's leaking a little bit, it's wet on the bottom, but she knows that Dave's parents own a liquor store, so she tastes it and she's like, oh, this must be tequila, we'll say, and she opens the box and it's a puppy.
Well, that would fit well.
Why do I remember the worst jokes? I can't remember the good ones. I can remember those stupid ones.
Well, you actually tell a pretty decent joke. I can't do that.
Well, if that's how I tell them, then fine, but I don't think I do very well.
I mean, that was not the one you told about the pig was, and I know
well, that wasn't my joke.
No, but
well, either was that one. I mean, I can't credit the
I was watching George Burns reel when he was on Johnny Carson. He was 93 years old. It's the one where he's smoking a cigar, and Johnny goes, "You're 90. How old are you?" He goes, 93. He goes, what number cigar is that today? He goes, I smoke about 15 to 20 cigars a day. And George says, I figure if I can get it in the hole at 93, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And so Johnny goes, well, what does your doctor have to say about this? And he starts to carry on, and Burns goes, my doctor's dead. And so, he's saying, I'm 93. I really don't give a crap at this point what my doctor says. But he went on to, you'll have to look up Johnny Carson clip. He lived in a time where he would go to dinner at the Brown Derby with, Groucho Marx and
right.
Al Jolson and all these people that were the turn of the century greats. I'm not going to get into the bit he talked about, but he couldn't stand it. Apparently, Groucho told this joke about sea bass, and someone else during a vaudeville show said something about if you've seen your mother, you never get to see your mother. I don't know what the line was, but so Groucho adopted it and said once you've seen sea bass, you can't see bass. All you see is sea bass, whatever. And so he goes to this restaurant, and Groucho's there, and they've got sea bass on the menu, and and Burns is talking about how he loves sea bass, but he doesn't want to say it in front of Groucho because if I hear that damn joke one more time, because Groucho was one of these that would get a bit, he would just burn it up and use it all the time. And so George whispers to the waiter, "Hey, listen, shh, I want the sea bass." And damned if the waiter didn't go, "Well, once you sea bass, you can't sea bass." George did a little better job of delivering it, but I got the
Well,
gist.
that's his job.
Well, yeah. Those
Did you
guys-
know? I'm sorry. Did you know on this day Amnesty International was founded?
What does Amnesty do? Remind me. International.
Dedicated to informing public opinion about human rights
Oh yeah.
and political prisoners.
Yeah.
Orchestrators of many a Cali thump.
Mini what?
A Cali thump.
Cali Thump.
Yeah, orchestrators of many a Cali thump.
Is that like a club that you carry around and knock yourself over the head?
No, it's well, a
Is this word of the day?
somewhat riotous parade.
A Cali Thump.
Yeah.
CALI.
CALLITHUMP. Cali
Huh.
thump.
Sounds like a made up word.
Well, most of these are. I've been lying to you throughout the weeks about word of the week, but that's
You
our
just-
word of the week. I
just
really
make
had
up
to
crap and
shoehorn.
then
I had to
say-
shoehorn that one in, but
You and your shoehorn.
mm-hmm. Do you use a shoehorn?
I used to say when a day I have to use a shoehorn because you can't bend over anymore.
Well, you have to bend over to use it unless you buy one of those on a long
Get the
pole.
long ones.
I did that and I broke it. I
Well-
use a shoehorn because otherwise it wears the back of your shoes out real quick.
Yeah. So that's interesting because it gives me a segue here in a second. I don't wear shoes like that. I've got a couple pair that are what I would deem dress shoes. Even though I dress for success, I got a award today. I
Yeah,
told you about.
for dress for success.
No, for
Oh,
going to not for missing the fewest.
yeah.
well,
What's that
second
got to do with
fewest amount-
dressing up?
I don't know.
You made it quite the leap there.
I do have a
So I
segue,
have some
though.
dress shoes and I dress for success. And by the way, I won an award for only 3 days.
Well, it really
missing
wasn't an
3
award.
days.
It was more of a recognition. It was a piece of
Oh.
scratch paper that they wrote down and read it off of it.
Ah, there you go.
It was pretty elaborate.
What's the average amount of days off for a teacher?
I don't know.
Isn't it like 3 months already?
well, we'll be. She said it started off like 5 days or less, and it was a slew of people, and then it went to
Right.
4 days, and then it went to 3 days, and there were just two of us, myself and another person, and then it went to 2 days, and no one was in that list.
Oh.
Then it went to no, it was 2 days, and it was only one person. They called her name, and she wasn't there today.
Ah, so that makes it 3.
Yeah. So the day she was going to get recognized, she didn't show up. And then it went to no days, and that was our AD. He hadn't missed a single day.
Or at
I
least,
said, that's why I said kiss ass.
yeah, no, he's either that or he didn't report. I'm out at the football field. Yeah.
I'm chalking the lines. No, he said he stayed healthy all summer. All year. That's a good time.
It's hard to. Yeah, especially when you're
Well,
around
it's
all
funny
those
'cause the guy I'm
snot
sitting-
heads.
The guy I'm sitting at the table with is missed like who knows. I can't help
Did
it.
they start with the most? Did anybody get recognized for the most days off?
Well, they should have. The biggest slacker award.
Right. Oh, that'd be classic. After you give away the 0 days. And now we'd like to recognize the person who took the
Schlubs.
most
Oh.
days off.
Okay.
That'd be a power move from a manager standpoint.
What would you think about an organization, not quite I gotta be careful saying this, not quite a Make-A-Wish place. You know, these things that they make a wish for kids.
Right.
It's not necessarily terminal illness. Okay. It could be a condition, could be a
Right.
something. And
Acne.
Look, yeah, let's say they granted this kid his or her wish. And it was to be introduced to Metallica.
Okay.
Is that an appropriate celebration for?
Well, the idea is that they get to complete an item on their bucket list because their bucket list is kind of mapped out already.
No, I get the precept or the
Right.
premise about the.
Do you think it's worthwhile? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm just. Should we
Yeah, I
be,
know you're
should
towing a
we be
line
a
here. I'm trying to
should we
figure out
be a
what your
part
angle
of
is.
that at an educational institution? I don't know. It's
I'm lost you on that one.
well, I don't want to get too far into
Did
it.
you know though, if you are granted a Make-A-Wish and then you recover, you still get your wish?
Yeah, but you got to pay the taxes.
I-
I bet you got to pay the taxes on Make-A-Wish. I wonder if that comes up. Hang on a second. Oh, this could be a good question for Alexa. Let's see if she can
I
dig deep.
doubt there's no way she knows this. This can't be a
Alexa, are there gift taxes involved for Make-A-Wish fulfillment?
From wish.org. These gifts are always tax-free,
Damn it.
regardless of whether or not you itemize deductions on your tax return.
Some congressman put a loophole in there.
Yeah, just so you have nothing to bitch about now.
Yeah, it takes away all the thunder.
So, all
All right. Well, I don't know. Well, I don't want to talk about that now, but I do have a little bit of a change of heart. You got something
Oh.
else before I jump into something?
No, I mean, I just
Got
got my trip. Yeah.
Tell us about your trip.
All right. Well, I mean, like I said, I mentioned at the beginning, nothing really monumental occurred. So for those who don't know, I took my son to Burlington, New Jersey for his summer internship this past weekend.
What's
And,
Burlington, New Jersey known for?
Not coats.
Hang
if
on.
You were thinking that. Not jackets.
Alexa, what is the travel tourism slogan for Burlington, New Jersey?
Burlington, New Jersey, invites visitors to unleash your adventure in this bold and energetic slogan that captures the spirit of this exciting destination.
Far from exciting.
Exciting destination.
But something I always forget on the travels up there. Something I always forget about. We had to leave the highway once or twice for various reasons, and take a little bit of the back roads. You forget, or it's hard to imagine the Northeast being bucolic or
Yeah.
pastured, and
Yeah.
some unbelievably pretty area up there. Little less than a mile off the highway.
Well, they don't call New Jersey the Garden State for nothing.
Oh, that's true. Yes. And it's, where I began life was in New Jersey myself.
As a collection of cells.
Yes. Yes. I was born in Somerville, New Jersey.
Really?
Yep.
How come I didn't know this stuff? I mean, we dated for how long?
No, you never asked, Dave. It's always about you.
Sheila's over here nodding her head. Yeah, what are you telling?
But the other thing that I find mildly annoying though about traveling in the Northeast. So there's this thing called the Easy Pass up there, right?
Yeah.
And all the toll roads are managed by this Easy Pass thing. So when we avoided the toll roads going up because we didn't have an Easy Pass, and apparently it said only Easy Pass allowed. Not like here, the systems here in North Carolina just take a picture of your plate and send you a bill, right? They made it sound, and I was, Googling it on the way up, that you have no option. If they're going to tack on a fine on top of charging you the toll. There's also going to be a fee charge for not being a member of Easy Pass. So we're like,
yeah, we have one.
Right. So you have Easy Pass?
Well, we do because Sarah's on the Pittsburgh Turnpike.
Oh,
Pennsylvania
okay.
Turnpike.
Well, here's what's confusing though. So Burlington, New Jersey is right on the border of Jersey and Pennsylvania. And there's like 5 bridges that cross over. And I was flying out of Philly. So the next day we're like, so at dinner that night before, I'm like, well, why don't we just sign you up for the Easy Pass and we'll be done with it. Well, it's not that simple. And they don't make it that simple. Every state has their own quote unquote Easy Pass. And apparently if you buy the Easy Pass New Jersey, it doesn't work in Pennsylvania.
That's because of the mob.
I don't know what it is, but isn't that the whole concept? Is that you have one transponder that gets you around all states up there that all use Easy Pass?
It's in the brand, easy.
Yeah, it's exact anti-easy. And so then I was like, well, how do you know on a bridge? How do you know which one you need? And so I looked it up, and it depends. Some bridges are New Jersey and some bridges are Pennsylvania. So now you got to be signed. You have to have two different transponders, and then there's a different one for the Pennsylvania Turnpike and a different one for the New Jersey. I'm like, good Lord, your car is going to be loaded up with transponders if you want to get around up there.
I don't think that's the case, Woody.
Well, you'd think the Easy Pass website would make that very clear, but no. They offer. They say, well, where do you want to drive? Well, I'm in New Jersey. Okay, then you need the Easy Pass New Jersey, and if you want to drive in Pennsylvania, then you need Easy Pass Pennsylvania. So very annoying. If anybody understands that system.
Sheila, how do we get around that? Sheila?
Well, she just drives in Pennsylvania.
Is there a universal Easy Pass? She's not playing along.
Yeah,
She's not playing the home version.
Ask Alexa. Say, does one Easy Pass work for all states?
Alexa, does one Easy Pass work for all states?
From Poe.com. No, there is currently no single Easy Pass that can be used for travel across all states in the U.S.
Stupid.
Alexa, why do they call it Easy Pass?
She's not going to answer.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Apparently nobody.
Yeah, no one does. It's so frustrating.
Well, I don't know what we're doing now, because I know we have one for Florida, because Sheila rides the tolls here, and then we have Sarah has one in her car but maybe she only uses it in Pennsylvania.
Is it the same company? Because like in North Carolina, the roads around here use a different company's pass.
Well, we have the thing where they take your picture and the Easy Pass,
the transponder.
Yeah, I try not to take those because I'm just cheap.
Yeah, well, I'm cheap and I'm annoyed. I'm already paying taxes for roads. Why do I have to pay someone else even more?
This is a use tax. Remember this when you were in economics? There's all kinds of taxes. There's user taxes. There's sales taxes. But this is
private. But here's the thing: these are private companies coming into these municipalities saying, "Hey, we'll somewhat fund the road, but we get to charge tolls, and you get a kickback from it."
You're using their roads that they built, Woody.
Yeah, I'm sure that that were funded by taxpayer dollars. I'm sure that there's some sort of funding from the government for those constructions. They're offset. What's the word I'm looking for? They're
subsidized.
Yeah, the subsidized roads, I'm sure. And then the problem is the only toll I ever knew to actually go away was the one there in Jacksonville on I-95. Once that bridge was paid, the whole concept of tolls originally was once the bridge is paid for, we'll get rid of the toll. Right? That's how we're going to fund building these.
You can't do that. This is a moneymaker.
Exactly. And that's why I said I was surprised the I-95 toll ever went away. That's the only one I ever know of that went away.
Yeah, that was when I first moved to town. I was like, what? There's and it had a drawbridge.
Yep.
I-95 had that one bridge was a draw. What was the name of that bridge? There was the
Jacksonville Drawbridge.
No, it was the Matthews. I used to know all 7 bridges.
I got stuck there one time when it was going up.
Once you finally figure out what's going on, you quit going over it. But yeah.
Anyway, well, when you're driving from Pennsylvania to Florida on vacation, you don't know other ways.
No, that's true.
But the last thing I'll say about the trip,
please,
which is a new experience for me and kind of goes back to what we just talked about. We use the GPS, Waze, whatever, to drive all the way up there. And what you're never aware of is if you miss the sign that says, welcome to Virginia or what, you don't know what state you're in anymore because you don't have that nice paper map. The
AAA triptych.
Yeah, whatever it was. It says, because even when you go, it doesn't say 50 miles to the Virginia border on your map thing. It just says 100 miles to your next exit. It doesn't say the state lines crossed in between or anything. So you never really know, because a couple times we're like, what state are we in? Or are we going through this state? When you pull down the direction menu of
Right.
all, so we ended up going through Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, Washington D.C., and then Jersey. So
Well,
we said hi to Joe. We wished him well as we passed through Delaware.
was he on the train?
I don't know.
So, how would you consider this to be a good trip? A good time
Yeah.
with you and the
Yeah.
son?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean,
Did he drive the whole way?
just about. I drove. He has a stick shift, by the way, and it's a lowered 93 Acura. So my ass is still. It
Well, must say something about his maintaining a vehicle to be driving a 93.
Yeah.
That
That's
far?
why, yeah, it's a nice, I mean, it was a very good car in its time and still is. Burns a little oil at this age. It's got over 200,000 miles on it, but he's fixed it up and done different things to it over the years. Because
Does he keep tools? Is he handy?
yeah, yep. In fact, we put him in the back of the car on the way up there, just so if anything happens to his car while he's up there. He's done quite a lot on. We changed the clutch on it last time, and that's a lot because it's a front wheel drive car. So the transmission, everything is up front. It's it's not when it's rear wheel drive. Transmission is kind of centered in the car. It's a lot
Right.
easier to pull out, but on a front wheel drive car, it's kind of in there with the engine, and so you have to take apart a lot of stuff to do it. So that was my deal. I bought him I funded a $300 floor jack for that operation. And I said, because the change of clutch on that Acura was going to be about $800 to $1,000 to take it to a shop because it's so involved. And so I said, if me and you can do it, I'll give you the jack when we're done. And if not, it's mine. So he's a proud owner of a very nice low profile 3-ton floor jack. So
Does he keep that in the car?
no, it's here at my house. Actually, one of his friends came by and borrowed it, and I hadn't brought it back yet.
Yeah, because that's always good when you hit the brakes and that thing comes through.
Yeah, it comes flying through the front windshield.
You're supposed to secure that.
It was in the trunk until about 13
why do I have
milliseconds
to
ago.
secure this spare tire? I don't know. Slam on the brakes one time, see what happens.
Oh,
That's
so
right,
yeah,
backseat,
so
you
that
think
was
it's
that was
easier.
the extent of my trip. Good, father son time kind of thing, and
So who'd you fly back on?
American. So they canceled food service, so I didn't get my
Biscuits,
yeah.
the Scotties.
Yeah, I love those things, man.
You got to buy them like at Costco. And then
No,
get on-
because I eat them then.
I know, but get on the plane with a whole sleeve of them, just like
and
good.
keep walking, go back to like where the bathroom is, and come back with like 3 more. And people are like, that stewardess is giving them all those Bishkov. That's what it is, Bishkov crackers. And they'll go back. I want some Bishkovs. And they're like, we're
You're
not
like,
giving
"I'm
them out.
Special. Look at me.
Yeah. So
All right,
yeah,
well,
I
that's
always
good.
ask my wife and kids know to give me all the Bishkovs if they don't eat them.
Yeah, think about the success of that. How it started. Delta Airlines.
Yeah,
and
I'd say
suddenly-
Delta started it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
And
fried sugar is all it is. It's
I
like-
know, but I love them. And occasionally on Father's Day, they would buy me the sleeve of them. I'm
Yeah.
like, you got to stop doing this because I can't. I eat them all I eat the whole sleeve in like 2 days, something
Yeah.
like that. Just one more. That's it, man.
They're super thin. All right. Anytime you can spend with a son or daughter like that, that's awesome. Good job.
Yeah. Like I said, it doesn't sound appealing when you sign up for it, but he needed to help moving his stuff up there, limited stuff. We found him a furnished place up there for 3 months.
Did you see the plant where he's gonna be working?
No, we didn't have time. We just ran out of time and energy to run by. But I figured it was, worst case, I could look it on Google Street View.
Yeah.
But, no, but I got to see where he's staying and meet it's Airbnb. It's second floor of this guy's house. Nice
And
guy.
is he an engineering student?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
He's a mechanical engineer. So he wasn't really sure what it was going to entail when he got there, but I'm waiting to hear back. Today was his first day, so I'm still
Is it a
waiting.
paid internship?
Yeah, with a stipend for living expenses. So
Wow.
mom and dad don't have to pay rent in two places.
Well, that could turn out to be a gig later on.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. So,
Well, it's an advance.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Great show.
I thought you had something.
Oh,
I interrupted
I
you with.
do. So I don't know how to set it up. It's just, we're both of us are getting older. You're not quite to 60 yet, and I'm 61. Turns out I'll be 62 in September. I've been telling everybody I'm 62, but I'm not till September.
That's a whole nother argument.
Yeah, if I did the math right. But I'm finding the day I turned 60, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm 60, I'm scared, but some things have changed priority wise. How I spend my time, to people I spend time with, things I do, and so
So
forth.
speaking of which, the show's over tonight.
No, I think we did this before, but no, that's quite the opposite, in fact. But so I was talking to Sheila. She was on her way home, and on podcast night, we kind of split up and say, "Get fend for yourself. I'm good." And of course, she overdoes it and taking care of me. And she picked up Taco Bell on the way home, and so I've got something to eat. But I've gotten really where I don't want to. Have you always been cheap, or do you find yourself getting cheaper? I don't want to go out and spend any money. I mean, unless I want to.
I'm
But
kind of I'm entering that age where I'm like, you know what? I've saved and crimped my whole life to some extent. I've enjoyed things along the way, of course, but I'm tired of everything I do being centered around costs. Like when I need a new tool or something like that, I research the hell out of it to find the best tool at the best price instead of just doing it and moving forward or buying the best tools so it works the best and my life's a little easier kind of thing.
Okay.
So
I'm not.
But I have yet to follow through on that to any great degree.
Well, that's an interesting angle. So you've been a miser, and now you feel like you should be able to experience the fruits of your labor, which is totally cool. I don't know that I've been a miser all my time. I don't know that I had to impress anybody. I never really lived that way, that I've got to have certain, things, cars or clothes or whatever to impress
But when I
somebody.
did want to live that way, I had no money. So, back when you want to impress girls and stuff.
Yeah, I liken it to work. When I was in the self-employment role for chasing customers with the furniture business or the investment side of things, I felt like I had to put my A game on and go after it. And now, kind of been there, done it, bought the T-shirt. And so I'm
you
not.
tell your kids that at the beginning of the semester.
I'm just not as impressed by
I'm
that
going to
stuff.
half-ass it this semester if you don't mind.
I'm calling it in, folks.
Why don't you guys teach yourself this
I'm going to
semester?
show up all but 3 days, and the rest of the time,
Cindy, you get up and teach the class.
yeah. No, it's not. It hasn't transferred to that. It's just that, like, I'm becoming kind of a homebody, which I didn't want to do. I never wanted to be home. I always wanted
But
to be out.
you led a different kind of lifestyle, though. You being a salesperson and being the
front man.
financial thing, you were always socializing. So
Yeah.
now you're tired of it. To say, you're somewhat exhausted from it. Been there, done that.
Yeah, I don't want to have to put on the top hat and the cloak and do the dance. I'm like, okay, I've done this. And then I meet these people. Like, I went to this Finally Friday Chamber of Commerce thing last week to promote this FBLA trip. And they're all out there with these slogans, and they've got these catchy phrases about their businesses, and they're really whooping it up and cheering each other on. I'm like, what a bunch of losers, I don't want to be a part of this. Good on you, but geez, this is what you got to do to get business. Forget it. I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I guess, I always wondered about that. I've always worked for the man in some respect, never for myself. I always wanted to work for myself, but I didn't have the guts to do it. But I always wondered, is it when you work for yourself, you're willing to you do that kind of thing because of the pressure of making sure you maintain a certain income. You can't just give up.
No, it's more. It ends up being a lot of people think you work for yourself. You get to create your own schedule and you have more free time. You don't.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I realized that. Well, like I said, in business school, one of my goals of going to business school is because I wanted to be on corporate boards, was kind of where I was going, because I thought with my technical prowess and with a degree from Wake Forest in business, I would have the credentials to start. But I realized going through that MBA program, I'm like, I don't want to be these people. This is
yeah.
not what I thought it was about. Like you said, it's not. You are married to these companies,
Well, they're going to pay you the big dime. Yeah, they're
right,
going to own you.
right. And
We got to.
I never really made that connection till I started talking to these people and seeing, reading these business cases and working through these problems. I'm like, good Lord, you
Yeah,
know,
we've got a couple nephews that are both my side and Sheila's side that are making well into $200,000, and their laptops in one hand, and
mhm.
they're 18 hours a day from home
Right.
and on
And
the road.
weekends, they're always in,
Yeah,
contact with the company. And that's a great work ethic, but at the same time, it will take its toll on people. But a lot of most executives at big companies divorce at some point, right?
yeah. No,
Because the
it's not
person
good
they
for them.
married originally was not in it to be second to the company.
Yeah,
Is usually what happens. And
I talk about that in my newsletter, The Small Business Patriot. I don't like the word work-life balance because I do like working,
so do
and
I.
work and work-life balance. Some of the argument promotes that you shouldn't be working. It should balance by the very nature. You can define that word, but the theology or the thinking behind work-life balance is you should take more time off than not. But it's another story. But
I take it more, when 5 o'clock rolls around, unless something is you know very important, or it garners my attention beyond five. I'm out, and I tell my bosses that mostly. I said, after 5, if you need me, don't email me, because I'm not going to be checking email. You need to call me on my cell phone if you need something, because I'm not going to be tied to my computer looking at emails.
well, there's a
So,
guy who is a talking head amongst self-employed people, and he says if you're touting work-life balance and you're self-employed, then you're sadly mistaken. He had another word for it. It starts with a P. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
nice.
but
Yeah.
but then that's the extreme the other way. So to your
And
point,
I have read articles of people who manage to be high up in a company and have a good family life and are self-employed, but it's few and far between. And it kind of goes back. Remember that one success criteria I always say, some people that I deem highly successful only sleep 4 hours a day.
hmm,
Right? They get up and boom, they're at work at 5 in the morning, and they get done at 5 in the evening. They're home. They do the sports with the kids. They do whatever the kids, they had the good work.
got it.
But man, you only have time to sleep 4 hours if you're going to pull all that off.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually
So,
sleeping more now, which is interesting.
well,
Okay.
you're getting old. You're past 60. Yeah, we're 2 minutes away from the end, Dave. So is there anything you want to? Oh, I know. I was very excited. I think the 100th episode has garnered new advertising for us. Um, when I listened to the 101st episode, uh, oddly enough, one of our sponsors was Churchill Downs.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Do too? All
Yeah.
right. And American Express.
Yeah, I got American Express down here.
Yeah, look at that. See, we're getting some national ads then in
Versus the suicide hotline.
that and Chumba Casino.
Have you heard the
Chumba Casino sponsored one of the NASCARs this past weekend, by the way.
have you heard the other casino? It's called Musey.
No,
Heard
you
that
were
one yet?
talking about. No, you told me about that one a couple
Yeah,
episodes ago.
Musey.com. I keep
So,
getting these ambulance chaser attorneys from here in
well,
Northeast Florida.
Morgan and Morgan. We used to drink with that guy at Wally's.
No, I met him at Tangeray's.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But he used to, and he may have bought Wally's after it went out of business a few years ago to make it now it's reopened.
He was a dick.
Yeah, well.
He's rich.
Yeah.
Smokes a lot of pot, apparently.
Just throw rumors out, Dave. Unaccounted
No,
for
he's
rumors.
the guy that was behind all the legalized pot stuff.
Doesn't mean he smokes it.
Well,
Just means he made a mint from whoever was trying to pass it.
That's probably true.
So anyhow, why don't you wrap it up?
Are we going to Spaces?
If I have to.
Real quick. We got to keep telling people so they'll show up. Last time.
I mean, yeah.
It's Party Central. All right. So, hey, thank you for listening tonight. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you're awesome. And we appreciate you so much. We're going to ask that you subscribe. Mash the pedal.
Get into your kids' YouTube accounts and subscribe. We need to make a push to get some subscribe numbers up.
Yeah, we got to turn it on.
It's
my
ridiculous
daughter has a
that
channel. My daughter has a channel. Yeah, and she's doing these AI cartoon stories for kids. She's like over 200 subscribers.
Yeah, we're still below 100.
We're sucking hind tit.
Yeah, let's get going, people.
So, but we are getting good coverage on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio and Podcast Addict. We didn't do the listenership tonight, but we're in. Let me just tell you, we're in Seoul, South Korea. We're in Ontario, Canada. We're in several Providence in India.
Yeah.
I can't even say those. And of course, we're in California, North Carolina, Florida, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Tennessee, and Illinois.
Yes.
So
Illinois.
So we're all you folks that are listening to us and tuning in on Spotify. We appreciate you and thank you for keep doing that. But jump over to what's it called? YouTube, and click on the button.
Oh, YouTube. Yeah.
All right, we're going to Spaces over on X, formerly known as Twitter, and you can find us at Dave and Woody Pod, at Dave and Woody Pod, or We Can Help with Dave and Woody. In the meantime, guard well, and we'll all meet up at the Sig House. What about
5 years from
2030?
now.
2030, 31? All right.
My bet 103 Union will be open again.
All right. Later.
Losers.